The form of the artwork is our initial contact with the work of visual art. But an artist makes art to communicate something. Sometimes an artist will hit us over the head with a message and it's easy to understand the meaning of an artwork. Other times what the work is about is subtle or even intentionally hidden. So how do we know what the work of art is about? Artwork that holds our attention engages us on an emotional and intellectual level and tells us something about the human condition. This something we are going to call the artist's big idea. An artist needs a visual vehicle to help with the communication. In his sculpture, Michelangelo uses as his subject the biblical story of David and Goliath. In this story, the Hebrews and the Philistines are at war. In an effort to spare lots of bloodshed, it is arranged that one Hebrew and one Philistine, in this case the strongest warrior Goliath, will fight in a kind of winner-take-all match. None of the Hebrew warriors wanted to fight the formidable giant Goliath. A young boy named David volunteers to fight. David uses his slingshot to defeat Goliath. This subject became the vehicle for Michelangelo to express the big idea of the brave underdog overcoming a stronger force. This big idea of the victory of the underdog represented the victory of Florence over Urbino and the growing independence of Florence from the influence of Rome. David, the subject of the sculpture, becomes the vehicle in which Michelangelo represents the ideals that are important to the people of Florence, which of course interact within the context of the historical events in Italy at the time. Artists don't exist in a vacuum. They are observers of what goes on around them and are influenced by their surroundings. Like anyone, they develop a point of view. In their work, they include, consciously or unconsciously, visual sources of what they see around them. Sometimes they make direct references to other art, the humanities or science. An artist can't help but touch on the knowledge that things that have come before them, because building on experience is part of being alive. Determining these influences help us understand a work of art. So let's take a look at the themes of the three artworks we're following. Here David depicts Socrates, a Greek philosopher, whose ideas got him on the wrong side of the government, and he was given the choice to commit suicide or be banished from Athens. The subject of the painting is the moment when Socrates chose to drink hemlock rather than denounce his values. Obviously, David is technically very skilled, but let's see if there is more to the painting than that. Using our criteria, let's see if we can piece together why this is an important and controversial painting. Mondrian's painting doesn't tell a story like the death of Socrates. Is there a theme here? It might take a bit more thinking to find it. See if the responses for each criteria convince you that Mondrian's painting does indeed have a theme. Finding a theme here might even be more difficult. Just like the Mondrian, there's no historical or literary story here, although there is a reference to religious history. Burton's performance doesn't exist in a museum or even use art supplies. Does it even require artistic skill? A very interesting question that perhaps we shouldn't answer too quickly. Remember, Burton wanted there to be no separation between art and life. But someone running a marathon puts their body under extreme conditions, and it is very much real life. We might say that the runner ran an artful race, but we wouldn't say that the act was art. If art should have interaction between form, theme, and context, then we should be able to find viable responses to the criteria on the left if Through the Night Softly is indeed art.